Hi guys, my name is Constance Nelson. I am the lead therapist and the CEO of Constantly Healthy Counseling and Coaching. And today we're going to talk about the Gottman Method. I have put a couple of videos online about my bubble theory. That also kind of brings in a little bit of Gottman. Gottman is 98% effective. It is a couples modality. I do have a co-counselor I do this with. He's on a couple of the videos as well. Gottman did this research 37 years ago, and when he was trying to learn couples therapy, or actually he wasn't even trying to be couples therapy, he was a professor at a university, him and his buddy, and they were like, won't this be fun? Let's study couples. So this is what they did. They took couples. Again, this is like 37 years ago. They were professors, they had interns, and they made like a bed and breakfast, not very big, a little space, and they put heart monitors and they put, cameras in, and they brought these couples in for a day or two just to be a couple. Come in, guys, we just want to study you. So as he saw probably over thousands and thousands of couples, 10 years later into his research, again, he doesn't help these couples. All he's doing is watching behavior. He's not trying to change them. He's not giving any kind of therapy. So what he learned by studying these couples, that there's two types of couples. They're the master couples, the couples that are naturally connecting. They're naturally able to have good communication. And the disaster couples, the couples that aren't having communication and aren't doing well. And even if the disaster couples have been together for a long time, they're not happy. They're not doing well. They're not thriving in their relationships. But the master couples are. That does mean that you fight? Absolutely. The master couples are fighting. Doesn't mean you're not fighting, guys. It's normal to fight, but managing our conflict is something very, very different. So what Gottman does is he's building this Gottman house, he calls it, the sound relationship house, where these floors build up. Right? So this first floor is love maps. So we're building a first floor into our relationships. Love maps are extremely important. This is how we met. How did we connect? So if we've been married or been together for a long time, sometimes we forget why we're in this relationship. What was our honeymoon like? Or when did we first meet? And what was that attraction? We forget that sometimes if we've been fighting a lot or we've been missing our bids or not connecting. Yeah? And there's another floor. The next floor is shared fondness and admiration. So are we sharing fondness and admiration? Are we saying thank you, thank you, thank you to each other? Again, these put points in the bank, and I'm going to talk about that maybe in this video, how we put points in our bank, okay? And then the next floor is shared. Let's see, we have shared fondness and admiration. We have our love maps, right? We have our next floor where we're turning towards and not away. This also makes sure that we're connecting. You notice that these master couples, when they were speaking to each other, they were turning towards each other. They weren't turning away from each other, right? And it seemed like they had better connection when they were doing this, yeah? And then seeing the positive perspective. It's important to know what's the positive perspective of my partner. I'm not focusing on what they're doing wrong. I'm focusing on what they're doing right. So again, if we've been in a relationship for a while and let's say we're going to talk about these relationship banks are super full and maybe I'm not taking care of myself, this is where this whole thing breaks down. And then there's the sides of the house. This is trust and commitment. Trust is emotional trust. That's one side of the house. How can we trust each other? If I turn to you and I bid or I put my hand out, are you going to reach back? That's emotional trust. Not just like affairs and things like that, but a trusting that you're going to emotional turn to me and I'm going to be able to bid for you, right? And then commitment, of course, whatever commitment that you decide, you're monogamous, not monogamous, there's a clear understanding what commitment looks like. Then and only then can we conflict manage. And that's in the middle of this house that we're building, right? So when we're able to build these floors, we're sharing fondness and admiration, we're turning towards and not away, we're seeing the positive perspective, we have these ritual connection, which means we're dating, that's our love maps, we're remembering and keeping those things sacred. Then and only then can we manage conflict. And manage conflict is about accepting my partner's influence. Can I accept them? Can they tell me something and I listen? Can we dialogue about our problems and not escalate? Can we self-soothe? Which means in these moments, can we take a break and come back? Guys, violent couples are violent, and the reason they're violent is they escalate and they stay escalated and they don't take breaks. So if you don't take anything from this video, make sure that you're taking 30-minute break and don't just ignore your partner and leave. That's abandonment. If one person leaves an argument and the other person is staying, right? The person that's staying is powerless. They don't know when this person is coming back. And the person that's leaving, they're powerful. We don't know when they're coming back. So they keep all the power. So make sure that you're mindful with your partner and say, hey, hey, let's take a 30, as some of my young couples talk about. Hey, let's take a 30. And they take that break for 30 minutes. You can come back as many times as you need to. So if you need to come back 30, it's okay. Just make sure you check back in. Or if you have children or you have different commitments in the morning, let's say it's super late at night and you're not able to get this argument or this conflict where it needs to be, well then manage me. Say, okay, hey, tomorrow in the morning at breakfast, let's have this conversation, or kind of schedule it on the calendar and make sure you do it, because that's how you build trust on that other side of the house, right? And the top of the house is create shared meaning. Those are very important too, or make life dreams come true. Those are the roofs. So I guess you know some of these couples that are talking about moving or going back to school and they're arguing about it all the time. Well, if the bottom floors are not there, again, if they're not complimenting each other, right? If they're not being positive in their relationship, if they're turning towards and not away, and there is no trust or commitment and their rituals are not there, then how can we talk about the future? It's not going to work. We're going to get all mixy. We're not going to be able to hear each other, right? And the very, very top of the house is create shared meaning. And that talks about how the future, our children, are we going to have children? Where are we going to retire? Those kinds of things. And this is the whole Gottman house, right? So as we understand this house, this is what we do at Constantly Healthy Counseling Coaching. All my therapists are Gottman 3 certified, which means we all know how to do this. We've all had 60 hours of training in this modality. And again, it's 98% effective. And it is based on dialogue. No couple ever have I heard them come in my office and go, yep, we dialogue great. It's everything else. No, it's always about communication. Communication is always the problem. And the tricky thing about communication is communication in dialogue. Communication and dialogue, healthy communication and dialogue builds trust. So sometimes if trust has been broken in a relationship, one of the partners is looking for the other partner to do certain things, and I get that. But if you don't have healthy dialogue, you're not going to reconnect. So here at Constantly Healthy Counseling Coaching, we teach you these modalities. We teach these tools on how to escalate. Now, this is another thing too. If you and your partner are not 100% in, it's not going to work. So if you come into our office and one client is half there and they're not even wanting to be here, it's really not our issue if they don't connect, because this method is 98% effective. So if both couples, 1 to 10, 1 being I don't want anything to do with this relationship, 10 being I'm willing, I can connect any couple. My therapist can connect any couple as long as we're willing. Willingness is a very big and very important piece of Gottman that we do have. And if you do decide to go into couples therapy with us, and let's say one of the partners decide they don't want to do it, that's okay too. You can learn about yourself, because in this modality, we do see you separately as well as together. There is no evidence that couples therapy works couples. It doesn't work. I can tell you when I first started working with couples, I was an intern. Nobody at the agency took couples but me, which is weird. You're an intern. You should take couples. Hello. But I did, because I'm a good employee. I was older. So I'm like, course. I would stay on the weekends. I would stay on evenings with these couples. And the one thing I learned was if both of them were willing, it would work. But if they weren't willing, it wouldn't. And then from that model, we do individual sessions. So we do the original intake. And the intake is about 20 minutes or so of getting to know you. You don't fight. We don't talk that way. And then we explain this method to you in detail. And you can see as we start to map it out, what's exactly going on already in your relationship. In fact, that first session, you'll go home with some tools, right? And one of those tools are I statements. We teach our couples I statements, right? And then there's other things that Gottman found out with his couples. He found out that there's 4 horses. 4 horsemen will make or break a relationship, right? The first one is criticism, right? We have defensiveness, stonewalling, right? These are horses that come running through our relationship. And if we don't regulate these horses, this will make or break a relationship. This is what he saw. So we have to know, we have to not be defensive. We can't be critical on our partner. We can't throw this criticism out. And stonewalling again is that piece where we separate and we don't come back. We take days to regulate. It doesn't work like that. If you're working on your relationship, you have to come back. So as we do this couples therapy with you, we'll tell you guys, if you cannot have a conversation without fighting, stop talking, because you're ripping down the house quicker than we can build it. So it's very, very important that you stay separate. You can come together, have meals, have fun, watch TV, maybe get that love match stuff going on. We do this quickly, guys. So as schedules allow, we make sure we get you in here as quick as we can. It's not a week-to-week couples session. It doesn't work like that. there is zero evidence that that works, right? What we have proven as a fact, that relationship or therapy done heavy on the front end is way more effective than separating it out like that. So we get you in as soon as we can, and we try to make sure we get these individual sessions together. And once we do that couple session, after you really understand what's going on in you, you turn towards each other, and it unfolds in such a beautiful way as you realize that it's really not about my partner. It's about my triggers and things that happened to me, maybe childhood, adolescence, things that maybe in my community I learned, or past relationships, and I've kind of drug it into this relationship. And then once I'm organized through these pieces, I'm able to talk to my partner, and I keep it de-escalated because I'm focused on myself. I'm not focused on my partner and what they're doing wrong, but I'm learning about what's going on in me. So these pieces are very, very important also. Something else we learn in session is the banks. I call them piggy banks, right? So we have two kind of banks. We have the positive piggy bank, that's a +1. We have the negative piggy bank, that's a -5. And it sounds something like this. And these piggy banks get really wonky. And when I first started working with couples, I did not understand. They'd come in my office and they'd be so angry at each other. And I'd be like, why are they so angry at each other? I don't get it. She took the garbage out. She shouldn't have taken the garbage out. He took the keys to the car. Why do you take the keys to the car? And I'm like, this is what we're fighting about? They don't know why they're fighting. I don't know why they're fighting. So I'm like, okay, what is happening? So when I first started training Gottman, I learned about these piggy banks. So these banks sound something like this. Thank you for unloading the dishwasher. +1 in the positive piggy bank, but you did it wrong. -5. Uh-oh. Here we go. Stacking those points up. Thank you for taking the garbage out. +1 in the positive piggy bank, but you missed the garbage upstairs. -5. Guys, can we see how quickly these banks get all stacked up in us, right? Then we have our personal piggy banks. Maybe at work, we're having a hard time and we're not doing a lot of self-care. Maybe our bosses aren't being very nice to us, or we're negative at work. And then we come in already negative from work, and now we're turning to our partner, trying to bid to get something good. And then our relationship banks are full. Hi, welcome to couples therapy. This is when people see us, when our personal banks are full and our relationship banks are full, guys, yeah? Another way these banks get full is the turning towards and not away, as we talked about this in the house, yeah? So if my partner is sitting over here and he's Googling and he's trying to find something to do for tomorrow, and he says to me, this is a bid, hey babe, how about we go biking tomorrow? And he turns to me, now he's bidding, and then I turn to the wall and I go, wow, this wall is so blue. Well, that's a turn away. That's a -5. If I turn towards him, that's a +1. So here we go. Does it make sense? Yeah? -5 in the bank. Now, my partner's Googling and he's doing something on the computer or whatever he's doing over here, or article. Oh, babe, I just read this great article. I think you'd love it. And I do this. That's a stone wall. That's a -5 too. Can we see how these relationship banks are getting very, very stacked, right? And typically, my clients come in when these banks are very, very full. And the top 5 reasons, I think it's top 10, couples get divorced or separated. One of the top 10 is they waited way too long for couples therapy. So sometimes I get my couples in here like a Hail Mary. They're at the brink, they're done. I hate when they wait this long, I get it. But if you can come in earlier and be proactive, I have some younger couples or couples that are just getting married or learning to live together, and they're coming in early. Don't wait till it's too late. And I can tell you every time we do this, and my couples end up being so successful, which they will if they're both willing to do the work and the homework. Absolutely, they will become successful. They always say to us, I wish you would have found you years ago. And it's true, because we would have been able to not keep those banks so full. And sometimes the banks are so full and their personal banks are just so full, they're not able to work through couples therapy. And that's okay too. We can help them uncouple in a healthy way, because if there are children involved, they're going to have to learn to communicate. And I can guarantee if the piggy banks are full in the relationship and the piggy banks are full in their personal lives, their personal little banks, they don't know how to communicate, and their families, their children, and those kinds of things are also going to suffer. So I hope this was helpful. I want to do a little video for my clients to see before they come see us at Constantly Healthy Counseling Coaching, kind of understanding what it is for the Gottman Method, so you guys know what you're getting yourselves into, yeah? And when you do work with us, we give you folders and journals and homework, so you're not just going to do it, right? But I also learned when I was working with these couples, right, way back when I was interning, I thought to myself, if I don't go home with these people, they're not going to learn. So most of the therapists out there, they do negotiation, they do transactional quid pro quo, which that doesn't work either. That love language book does not work. All it does is rip my couples apart. What it does is it gives you like, this is what I love. Well, I love quality time. Why aren't you giving me time? Well, I love gifts. Why aren't you giving me gifts? Well, it's not about that. That's a codependent relationship. That's a transactional relationship. Our relationships are not designed to make us happy. They're designed to make us learn. And if we stop learning and growing in a relationship, it dies. So if I think my partner's supposed to make me happy, no, that's my job. What we're supposed to be doing is learning. What is my partner teaching me? That changes everything at that point when we do this. We have trauma packages when my clients need to come in for trauma or addiction. I handle trauma. My co-counselor, Eric, he does the addiction. Sydney also, she's awesome. She's one of our counselors as well. She is also Gottman 3, but she has some specialties in some child therapy and child coaching. We kind of have a whole wrap around here, and we see the whole family. Sometimes my clients just come in because they want to work with their kids, and this method is also very effective. Gottman has Gottman for children as well, or young adults. So we also teach, not only are we teaching our clients, our couples when they come in, we're also teaching them to interact with their families, interact with their jobs if they have children. So it's a modality that kind of wraps around everything. Again, this talk therapy, that's great, but it doesn't connect you. And what we do in these sessions, it's solution-based per se, but we're making you connect. If you can connect to your partner, you can do anything. If you understand yourself and understand your partner, you've won. You can battle anything that comes to you. But if you're not connected, you don't have healthy dialogue in those pieces, you're not going to be able to handle things that happen because you're escalating too quickly in these arguments and you're not being productive in your relationship.